Welcome, freshmen, to Romeo and Juliet, Act 1, Scene 3. So, just to remind you, we're going to do the same thing that we've done the other times. We're going to make the following annotations. We're going to highlight the most famous or beautiful lines in blue, plot lines in orange, underline important words that we need to discuss in blue, and then notes in the margins, just like we've done. So, this is a little while later, right? We had that scene out on the street in Act 1, Scene 2, where Capulet and Paris were talking, and then Romeo and Benvolio were talking, and they got invited to the party. So now we're at the Capulet house, and we're in a room. It's Juliet's room, is what I would suggest. And they're getting ready for the party, and Lady Capulet needs to go and talk to Juliet. So we enter Lady Capulet and the nurse. Nurse, where's my daughter? Call her forth to me. Now by my maidenhead at 12 years old, I bade her come. What lamb, what ladybird, God forbid, where's this girl? What Juliet? Now I want you to notice something, right? Lady Capulet's line, one line, right? Like one sentence, two sentences. Nurse has three lines. And as you kind of scan through, the nurse's lines are really long. And so I want us to talk just a little bit, and we're going to make a comment box right here about the nurse, right? So we're going to say we have to remember that the nurse is given to us by Shakespeare as a comic relief character. So the nurse is there to be funny. And the thing that's funny about the nurse is that she's really old. And you know how sometimes old people just talk and talk and talk and talk, and you're like, Grandpa, stop. Like, just listen for a minute. And that's the nurse, right? The nurse just goes off on these tangents, and she just talks and talks and talks and talks. And she goes on, like, she gets off topic really easy, right? So Juliet enters. How now? Who calls? Your mother. Madam, I am here. What is your will? This is the matter. Nurse, give leave a while. We must talk in secret. So then the nurse leaves. That's not in the stage directions, but the nurse leaves. And then Lady Capulet sees her daughter and sees that she's all alone. And remember that Lady Capulet doesn't have a relationship with her daughter. She hired somebody to be a mother to Juliet. So then she freaks out and she screams out in the hall, Nurse, come back again. I have remembered me. Thou hearest our counsel. Thou knowest my daughter's of a pretty age. She's 14. Faith, I can tell her age unto an hour. She's not 14. I lay 14 of my teeth, and yet to my teeth be it spoken, I have but 4. She's not 14. How long is it till Lammastide? Right now they're arguing about how old Juliet is. And did you see how the nurse got off topic? Right? She says, I'll lay my teeth, right? I swear by my teeth that she's 14, but I only have 4 teeth. And so Lady Capulet, a fortnight and odd days. Even or odd, of all days in the year, come Lammas Eve at night, shall she be 14. Susan and she, God rest all Christian souls, were of an age. Well, Susan is with God. She was too good for me. Do you see she got off topic? Now she's talking about Susan and how she's dead. But as she said, on Lammas Eve at night, she shall be 14. That shall she marry. I remember it well. 'Tis since the earthquake now 11 years, and she was weaned. I shall never forget it. Of all the days of the year upon that day, for I had then laid wormwood to my dug, sitting in the sun under that dove house wall. And so she is gotten way off topic now. She's saying, I believe it was during this time period because I remember that my nipples really hurt at that time. And I put medicine on my nipples because they hurt so bad. Now all of a sudden we're talking about that? No. So you see, we've gotten so off topic. My lord and you were then at Mantua. So Lady Capulet and Lord Capulet were on vacation. Nay, I do bear a brain, but as I said, when it did taste the wormwood on the nipple of my dug, and it felt it bitter, pretty fool, to see it tetchy and fall out with the dug. Shake quoth the dove house, 'twas no need, I trow, to bid me trudge. And since that time it is 11 years, for then she could stand alone. Nay, by the rood, she could have run and waddled all about. For even the day before she broke her brow, and then my husband, God be with his soul, he's dead too, was a merry man, took up the child. Yea, quoth he, doth thou fall upon thy face? thou wilt fall backward when thou hast more wit. Wilt thou not, Jewel, and buy my holidame? And the pretty wretch left crying and say, I. To see now how a jest shall come about, I warrant and I should live 1,000 years, I never should forget it. Wilt thou not, Jewel, quoth he, and pretty fool, I stinted and said, I. Oh my gosh, what? We got so off topic. And Lady Capulet said, enough of this, I pray thee hold thy peace, because she is mad. So we're going to put a note here, right? And say, stop talking, nurse. You're gross. Because remember, she's talking about her nipples and how they hurt from nursing. Yes, madame. She says, yes, madame. Okay, I'll stop. But then she keeps going. Look how long her lines are. Yet I cannot choose but laugh. To think it should leave crying and say I, and yet I warrant it had upon its brow a bump as big as a young cockerel stone. So you're talking about Juliet and how she bumped her head, right? A perilous knock, and it cried bitterly. Yea, quoth my husband, fallest upon thy face? Thou wilt fall backward when thou comest of age. She's repeating herself. Wilt thou not, Jewel? It stinted and said I. And stinted thou too, I pray thee, nurse, say I, right? Juliet. She's saying, shush, stop. Peace I have done. She says, I'm not going to talk anymore. But then she keeps talking. God mark thee to his grace. Thou wast the prettiest babe that e'er I nursed. And might I live to see thee married once I have my wish, right? She's like, you were a beautiful baby, right? The most beautiful I ever nursed, right? She's nursed other. Lady Capulet finally sees her open. Mary, that Mary is the very theme I came to talk of. Tell me, daughter Juliet, how stands your disposition to be married? So we're going to highlight now, because that is important. How stands your disposition to be married? So she has come in to talk to Juliet about marriage, specifically to Paris, because she knows of this whole deal. She knows that Paris is trying to marry Juliet, and she's like, okay, we want to set this up because Lady Capulet likes Paris far better than Lord Capulet does. Juliet says, it is an honor that I dream not of. Well, yes, of course, because you're 14 and she's been playing with dolls and playing with her friends. We're going to highlight that in orange as well. She has not dreamt of it because it's too soon, right? Even though that's the time period where that sort of thing happened, right? So we're going to make a comment as well right here. We're going to say, yeah, she hasn't thought of it because she is 14. An honor, were not I thine own only nurse, I would say thou hast sucked wisdom from thy teat. Gross! Stop talking about your nipples. Gross. Well, think of marriage now. Younger than you, here in Verona, ladies of esteem, are made already mothers. By my count, I was your mother much upon these years, that you are now a maid. Thus, in brief, the valiant Paris seeks you for his love. We're going to highlight that as well, right? So she tells him, the valiant Paris seeks you for his love. Cool. A man, young ladies, such a man as all the world. Why, he's a man of wax. So the nurse agrees. He's pretty cool. Verona's summer hath not such a flower. Nay, he's a flower, in faith a very flower. To Lady Capulet, what say you? Can you love the gentleman? This night you shall behold him at our feast. Read o'er the volume of young Paris's face, and find delight writ there with beauty's pen. Examine every married lineament, and see how one another lends content, and what obscured in this fair volume lies, to find written in the margent of his eyes. This precious book of love, this unbound lover, to beautify him only lacks a cover. The fish lives in the sea, and 'tis much pride for fair without fair within to hide. That books in many's eyes doth share the glory, that in gold clasped locks in the golden story. Shall you share all that he doth possess by having him making yourself no less? And then the nurse says, no less, nay, bigger women grow by men. And what she means is women getting pregnant, right? And so she doesn't understand what Lady Capulet's saying because the nurse is silly, right? And she's old and she doesn't get it. And so Lady Capulet is saying that you will make yourself better by marrying Paris because you'll be noble and you'll be rich and you'll be taken care of. But what nurse thinks is that she's talking about getting pregnant. So we're going to come up with 3 reasons why Lady Capulet likes Paris, because Lady Capulet really likes Paris. So number 1, most important. Oh, no, we don't want those. We want the text box. Here we go. So number 1 is he is noble. And while the Capulets are a noble family because they're lord and ladies, they're a lesser noble family. So like the Prince and Paris and Mercutio are up here, and Montagues and the Capulets are a lesser family. So this would move them up in line in the same nobility. It's just like in England, they have the king and the queen, but then they have all these other dukes and duchesses and lords and ladies. They have all this stuff. The second thing, sorry, is he's rich. Lady Capulet loves a rich guy, right? Loves to have some money. The third, and maybe the weirdest, is there is the suggestion in the text, right, that Lady Capulet is cheating on her husband maybe a bit, right? And she likes having, maybe Lord Capulet isn't super nice to her, so she looks for this. So she likes having nice-looking guys around the house. So likes having good-looking guys around the house. Now, I'm not suggesting that Lady Capulet is maybe hoping to sleep with Paris later on in the play, but it's not outside of the wheelhouse. Like there is some lines that we can use to inference that that might be what's happening, right? So she says, "Speak briefly. Can you like of Paris's love?" And Juliet, these are famous lines, right? So we got to mark this in blue. "I'll look to like, if looking liking move, but no more deep will I endart mine highs than your consent gives strength to make it fly." So she says, sure, I'll try it out, but I want your consent, Lady Capulet. Mom, I want you to pass off on this, right? If you like Paris, I'm all good with it. And she is saying that because she's liking this relationship that she's building right now. She's like, Mom never comes to talk to me. I'm always by myself with the nurse, and now she's taken an interest in me. I really don't want to mess this up. So enter a servant. "Madam, the guests are come, supper served up. You called for, my young lady asked for, the nurse called in the pantry, and everything in extremity. I must hence to wait, but I beseech you, follow straight." Lady Capulet says, "We follow thee." Exit her, and then she says, "Juliet, the county stays," and the nurse says, "Go, girls, seek happy nights to happy days." And that is another famous line. So mark that in blue. So they're off, right? They're preparing for the party. The party is going to come up really soon. All right, so once again, we just finished off another scene, so I need you to go back and highlight for your motifs. We're definitely going to have some green, the past against the future. No purple, not a lot. I don't think there's any pink, no light against dark. I don't think they were really talking about light versus dark. But look for a whole bunch of the past against the future, because we have the nurse and we have Lady Capulet, which is a past and a future thing, but we also have the nurse and Juliet, right? So lots of nurse lines where she's talking about being old and stuff like that are really going to help you. Okay, so we'll catch you next time when we do Act 1, Scene 4. Enjoy. Bye.